Okay. Today I can see completed Seder Nezikim in the Mishnah and held a Siyum. Held it at Beis Yisrael. It's one of the shuls in the neighborhood. Rabbi Glazer, a friend of mine, is the rabbi there. It's in memory of my neighbor, Dave Hoffman. The nature of the Mishnah in this Seder, this volume, is basically what can be called civil damages. It literally means damages, and it deals with things like if you damaged your neighbor's property. It also deals with things like assault and battery. If someone beat up on somebody, what are their what do they owe them for their the trouble that they've caused them, as well as things like makos, lashes. In Talmudic times, they didn't hold by putting people in jail. To the extent they put someone in jail, it was just to see what they were going to do with them. It wasn't a punishment. The punishment would be if somebody violated the sensibilities of the community, would be to give them lashes. They would flog them. Up to 39 lashes, corporal punishment. You also have fines, probably sacrifices. You also the laws concerning shavuot, nidarim, oaths. That you have to take an oath in court that you swore to tell the truth. It's more a case where you would give the testimony and they would then give an oath that you didn't lie, or it's other oaths as well. Oaths to refrain from taking pleasure or benefit from another person. Not so relevant today. People aren't into that so much. And ethics, also idolatry. Now, the first, I would like to talk basically about two Mishnahs. The first one is about, it says Arba Avot Nezikim. There are four fathers of these. Basically, fathers in this context means four general categories. Okay, Hashur, which is the bull; Habor, a hole; Hamaveh, generally translated as truth, in Hahevir, the fire. Okay. And what it's talking about is different things that can cause damage and the type of care that you have to give over them to prevent them from damaging other things. Now, when you're talking about a shore, it's basically animals, beasts of burden, an ox that you attach to a cart or that type of thing, ox cart. But you have to be careful that your bull doesn't trample on something or rub itself against something. It's basically the idea of the normal damages that an animal causes. Now, it's not so relevant today. We don't use horses or beasts of burden so much. The next one is the boar, which is a pit. the idea in this case is inanimate objects which may damage another person. What type of care you have to go to take care that they don't hurt somebody. For instance, if a person digs a pit, say they're digging a well or digging the foundation of a house or that type of thing. Digging is a common thing that you do, but it's construction. It's the basic idea is that it's an inanimate object. It's not living. So as a result of that, the rules concerning the care that you have to take concerning that are different from the rules that you have to take concerning something that is living, an animal. The next one is hamaveh, literally the tooth. Now what that is talking about, again, is the tooth of the animal. Now, what it means is that it means that the animal is eating something. But it's also very relevant in another way, in that the animal is deriving a benefit from it, and the owner is deriving a benefit from it. This is different from the animal is basically apathetic about what is happening. It steps on somebody's plate or tramples their garden. The animal you don't get any benefit from that. It's just an animal. Okay, but in the case where it actually eats something, the owner gains something from that, in that it doesn't have to feed the animal. The idea of unjust enrichment under the law would be a derivative of something like this. As a result of that, the laws concerning that are different. Among the ideas is that the streets belong to the public. As a result, if a person leaves something in the street and an animal steps on it, the owner of the animal does not have to pay the damage on that, because the streets are basically for transport and moving. That's what the animal was doing. Okay? So as a result of, say, if a storekeeper was having his wares in the street, or someone spreading out a blanket and selling something, and the animal steps on it, the animal has every right to be in the road, so you have to watch yourself that normal road hazards don't happen. But if it's a case where you have somebody who's selling fruits and vegetables in the street, if the animal eats them, then the owner of the animal actually has had some benefit. He doesn't have to feed the animal. Now it's filled up. So as a result, he must pay the owner of those fruits and vegetables whatever he would have paid to have the animal fed if the animal didn't eat those articles. The next one is the hahever, which is a fire, specifically a fire that catches onto thorns and then spreads to somebody else's property. The basic idea is that fire is extremely hazardous. So the rules concerning fire and the care that you have to take to prevent it from harming other people is not the same thing as a hole, which is a hazard, but it's not as hazardous as a fire. So again, it fleshes out those details. It also this is a famous Mishnah. There's another Mishnah, it's also a famous one, which talks about what is generally known in the world in the law as bailments. If you have somebody else's property in your possession, it talks about four types of them. There is the shoel, which is somebody who borrows something. In other words, the borrower is getting all the benefits from it. Then you have the case where somebody actually is a renter. Okay, where the rent, both people are getting the benefits. The person who's renting the object has the use of the object, but the person who he rents it from is getting paid for it. Then you have the issue of what they call the shomer socher, which means you ask somebody to watch something for you, and you're going to pay them for watching it. In other words, it's the same case where both people are getting the benefit. You're saying, watch my precious object, and I'm going to pay you for it. The other one is what they call the shomer chinam, the guard that is the unpaid guard. In other words, you're saying, look, will you watch this thing for me? I'm going away for a few minutes. And the guy says, yes, sure, no problem. Okay. In other words, the person who owns the property is getting all the benefits, but the person who is watching it gets really no benefits from it. And the issue comes is what happens if the property is lost or damaged or destroyed? Who pays? That's the issue. Now, the issue of the shoel in the Mishnah is coming to discourage borrowing things, is that if you borrow something and anything happens to it, you must pay. Okay? The next two, the renting type situation, or you're asking someone to watch it and you're paying them for it. In that case, it splits it between if there was a case of some sort of negligence in the case of the person who was who had possession of the article, as opposed to an act of God. So the ones that they talk about is if the object is stolen, the basic attitude is that the person who had the object could prevent it from being stolen. He was simply negligent. As a result, it got stolen. That's the basic idea. As opposed to a situation where it's an act of God. If I don't remember the one that the Mishnah talks about, it may not be the best example in this day and age. But it's a case where, let's say, it's struck by lightning and destroyed. In which case, the person who has possession of it does not have to pay for that. That's considered as being covered in the rental fee. The last one is the shomer chinam, where it's a case where you ask someone to do you a favor and watch it for you. in which case, even for an act of God, he is not responsible. However, he does have some responsibility in that if something happens to the item, say it disappears and he claims it was stolen or it was captured by enemy soldiers in a war, we suspect him of robbing it and just using that as an excuse. So what they will do is require that he take an oath that he didn't steal it. And the oath is basic, can be like a court proceeding. You'd rather not do it, but but nevertheless, it's worth doing if you're going to have to pay. So those are the four basic categories. Okay? And it ends, the ending of it, it's a famous Mishnah as well, which talks about basically its priorities in whose life you save or who you redeem from captivity. If several people are held captives, it talks about that you would redeem a Kohen before you would redeem a Levi, and a Levi before a Yisrael, and it goes through that type of what might be considered inherent value of a human being. But then it ends, the top of the list is the high priest, the bottom of the list is a mamzer. But it says that it really acquired righteousness and wisdom overrules them all. And it says that if you have a mamzer who is a Talmid Chacham and a Kohen Gadol that's an Am Haaretz, you would redeem him first because of the merit of his learning. Thank you.